Hey, Masters, if you know me and you've been listening to my podcast, you know health and nutrition is number one. Check out Advocare products. I am a distributor. Go to livelongersmarter.com. We got everything you could imagine for your health and nutrition goals. If you're interested, at the end of the podcast, at the very end, there'll be more information on the products. Also, Land Voice is one of our sponsors. They have amazing services. If you need leads, please check out Land Voice for FSBO, expired, circle prospecting, a dialer, whatever you need. Go to davidihill.com, affiliates. You can click the Land Voice link and all of the special opportunities will be there.
Get ready for one more sale, inspiring you with ideas through powerful and engaging interviews with top performers of their field. Now, join us as we discuss techniques and strategies of the coolest and most successful people on the planet.
So that's why I say, you know what? Listen, I'm not here to ask you to buy or sell a house. I get that out of the way right away. And then what I do is I just see if they have any questions about the market in general. And if they do, that's fantastic. And if they don't, what I usually do is we can set them up with the monthly market report. It shows you if the value of your home is trending up, trending down, how far below list price it's selling. It's just a monthly email. And they love that. So then you can toss them into your CRM, and now they're going to be part of your database. I made sure that everything I did was full HDR photography. With certain homes, I do excellent 4K video, drone footage. So that was the foundation. And then what I was able to do with that high quality marketing material was I was able to start posting it on social media, specifically Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, just by going a little step above and leveraging tools that we have for free. It gets such great results because you can be in front of people all the time.
What up, Masters? Welcome to another episode of Path to Mastery, guys. Hey, as always, you know, we're going out there. We're finding the really coolest people in the real estate realm. And listen to this. This guy, he calls himself the Purple Realtor. His name's Mike Sherrod, and we just absolutely killing it. I mean, the guy's 24 years old. He's only been in the business for 5 months now. He's already closed 6 transactions. He's got 6 pendings. Listen to this. He listed a $15 million property, and on his first day in the business, the kid went out and he took a $700,000 listing from door knocking. You tell me, guys. For the new agents out there that are thinking, man, I have to struggle in this business, listen to this interview, and I would listen to it over and over. And listen, Mike is a little unique because honestly, you know, after getting to know him a little bit, the guy started, you know, even though he wasn't licensed yet, 6 months before he got his license, he was already planning how he was going to be successful in real estate. So he had already gotten a jump start on it. You know, he was using social media, Instagram, Facebook. Kid's just absolutely brilliant. So you're going to really, really enjoy this interview. It's awesome. The other thing too, listen, hey, keep us in mind for referrals. Massachusetts, guys. #1 referred real estate group in all of Massachusetts. So anywhere in Mass you need help, if for some reason I don't have a team member there, then I will set you up with the best person possible. Okay, so keep us in mind, please. Referrals. We're in the real estate business. We'd love your referrals. Anyway, I really want you to enjoy this interview with Mike Sherrod. You rock. Hey, Masters, welcome to another episode of Path to Mastery. You know, hey, I've got this guy with me today. His name's Mike Sherrod. He's from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And, you know, I heard him on GSD Mode, Joshua's show, and I just said, this guy's awesome. I mean, he's 24 years old, just got licensed, literally, I think he said in April, like literally a couple months. Was it? Are you there with us, Mike?
Yes, I am. Super excited.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. Did you just get licensed like last April or April like 3-4 months ago?
April of 2017, my friend. So only been in it about 5 months, and it's been going absolutely insane, and the response has been absolutely amazing.
Good for you, man. Well, yeah, and that was why when I heard you on Joshua's show, I said, man, I got to reach out to this guy because we hire a lot of new agents, Mike, and I think a lot of times new agents kind of come in and they have all these struggles and all these limiting beliefs as to why they can't be successful. And then you look at someone like you've done 6 transactions already. You've just listed a $15 million property. So you're just killing it. So first off, man, tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get into real estate?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks again for the brief interview there. So, like you mentioned, 24 years old. I was previously a mechanical engineer, so I went through university. I took 2 degrees at once and did them simultaneously. Got out, did quite well, went from sort of 0 to 100 in the corporate world real quick in the oil and gas world. I essentially just found out that I plateaued too quickly. I was looking around me. People were sort of stagnant. I wasn't surrounded by people that were excited by growth and passionate about what they're doing. And even being a car guy, I was looking around the driveway, and at 23 at that time, my car was the nicest car in the parking lot, yet I have friends who were 30 and they're driving supercars. And I said, you know what? I know it's about passion. I know it's about following your dreams. What gives here? So I decided to make the transition into real estate, as that's always been something I've been so passionate about, so interested about since university, through reading books, everything like that. And then I got in the industry, and because I did sort of 8 months of legwork leading up to getting my license, like you say, some people start and they stumble. Well, what I did is being proactive. I started and I hit the ground running, and I did it real quick. So first 2 months, I did the same amount of deals as the average agent who's been in the industry for any amount of years in our city. And then from there, just kept pushing, and just from the grind and the hustle, all of these opportunities have been opened up, and it's been going well. And the tough thing for me is I almost had everything working against me. I was 24. I am not from Calgary, so I don't have a sphere here, and I'm brand new to the industry. So I had to sort of take almost drastic measures to make myself stand out and get those results, because I had nothing working in my favor.
All right, so let's jump, and I want to hit all those, because you just so much great stuff. You talked about, those are 3 strikes against you, right? 24 years old, young, you don't have experience, you don't know the area, and you're new to the industry. My gosh, how are you going to be successful? But yet you were able to do that. But when you say you hit the ground running, talk to us, like, what did that look like? Talk to us about your first day in the business. What were you doing?
Definitely. So first day in the business, it was the same day I left the corporate world. So I finished work at 5 p.m. It was getting dark outside, and I suited up, and it was snowing. And I went outside in the pitch black in the snow and door knocked for 3 hours and got my first listing that night, $700,000 property. Just sold it about a month and a half ago. Wow. That was the first day. And ever since then, same 3 people that I met that same night door knocking have now reached out to me. So the very first day I said, you know what, I have my flyers. I said, no one's going to do it for me. I have no reason to complain, because the only one who's going to make it happen is myself. So let's grind.
I love that. So, okay, so I'm the guy, I opened my door. I got this kid standing out there. I've got a $700,000 house. What the heck did you say to this guy?
Yeah, definitely. So I sort of had to come with a bit of a unique approach. And like I said, leading up to getting my license, I was very proactive, and I did 8 months of research of what people in the States down where you guys are doing, how they're doing things a bit differently, because in Canada up here, we're maybe a couple of years behind. And I noticed that a lot of people down there do creative videography and social media marketing, and that's how I was going to brand and differentiate myself. So when I knocked on the door, essentially I would just introduce myself, say, hi, Mike, my name is Mike Sherrod, I'm with X Brokerage. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to buy or sell your house, but I've been in the area. The homes have been moving quite well, and people have been reaching out to me with questions about the market. I wanted to see if you yourself might have any. And the guy sort of showed some interest, and he said, you know what, nothing right now, but we were considering selling at some point. And I said, essentially, that's amazing, and explained to him that with my social media marketing, and this was sort of creating the image before it was in reality, that I was going to do videography, media marketing, targeted marketing. I was going to do all of these different things over and above every other realtor that would have come his way. And when I started pitching that to him, he said, wow, I've never heard of people doing that. It seems really interesting. I'd love to meet up and chat more. And then it just spawned from there.
Wow. So did he know you were new into business, or did that? And the reason I ask is because when I was new into business, I listed 7 homes my first month. Nobody ever knew I was new. I mean, nobody ever asked me, you know what I mean? Did he know you were new? I mean,
not at all.
Got it.
Not at all, and that's something that has continued to help me throughout is even though I'm 24, people usually guess my age when they see me. Between 28 and maybe 31 is what I typically get. So I look a little older from the get-go, but every time I door knock, I usually dress quite sharp. I keep the hair clean, and I sort of have the image and the confidence that they never question what I'm doing, because I speak with such authority and such confidence that they feel like they're in front of someone who's knowledgeable and who has been in the industry for whatever amount of time in order to gain this sort of drive and this knowledge about their specific area.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Mike. So you did this with social media. I mean, I've seen you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook. You do a really great job with that. Tell us about, well, there's two parts of this. First off, obviously you spent some time planning and came up with a plan before you just went out there and started banging on doors, right?
Yeah.
How much planning did you do to get ready for that? And then second part is, tell us about that plan. What does that look like?
Definitely. So leading up to getting my license, while I was taking the courses, what I did is I reached out to, I think it was 3 different agents in my city who were doing well. And what I did is I met all of them for lunch, paid for their lunch, picked their brain a bit, and I found one guy who's now a friend of mine. I just shadowed him for a day. I met up with him at 7 a.m. when he started his schedule and stayed with him until 12:30 noon. And I saw what the prospecting was like, the cold calling, the rejection, the tracking, all of the numbers. I saw what it was like to actually be an agent for a day, because so many people don't understand what goes into it and what's required. So that was big. And then just following people like Brian Casella and other people down in the States who are doing big things and also sort of driven young hustlers, I saw that door knocking was a good option, because what I realized is that I usually get good results with people based on my communication and personality. So I saw, yes, some people cold call, but then they have no idea to see what I look like, my communication. They have no sort of perception of what I can bring to them. So I said, you know what, I need to get in front of people and let my strong side shine. So door knocking was going to be my key. Leading up to it, what I do every week now is I just sort of run the systems and see where sales have been very active. So I pick certain communities where there's been maybe 10 sales over the last 14 days. And that gives you a bit of background that you can go and say to the people at the door, hey, listen, this community has been very active. People have been selling homes 10 in the last 14 days, 98% of their list price. There's lots of buyers looking here. It's a perfect time to either upgrade or move to that neighborhood you've been looking for. So again, a lot of people just sort of door knock at random. I think there's a little bit of a method to it in order to bring some good conversation and show that you're actually knowledgeable about what's going on.
So, I mean, you're bringing the part of the value you're bringing is your knowledge of the market.
Definitely. You have to, right? Because if you show up at the door and you just say, hi, are you looking to sell anytime sooner? Do you know anyone? The instant response is going to be no. So that's why I say, you know what? Listen, I'm not here to ask you to buy or sell a house. I get that out of the way right away. And then what I do is I just see if they have any questions about the market in general. And if they do, that's fantastic. And if they don't, what I usually do is we have a tool up here on our MLS system where we can set them up with the monthly market report. And I say, you know what? People in the neighborhood have been loving the monthly market report. It shows you if the value of your home is trending up, trending down, how far below list price it's selling. It's just a monthly email, and they love that. So then you get their email, you can toss them into your CRM, and now they're going to be part of your database. So when you provide value and do it in a very passive way, you're able to excite a little more emotion and interest in them.
All right. So you mentioned when you took the listing, you were offering them something that nobody else was offering. What does that look like?
Definitely. So the first thing always started with quality. So quality photography and videography, because what I notice happens a lot of the time up here is is realtors seem to be somewhat penny pinchers, right? And when I was browsing through the listings, the quality of the photography was absolutely terrible. Half the time they were taking it with their own iPhones. And I said, you know what? People deserve the best. We're making good checks here. We need to give them something that's worthy of that. So I made sure that everything I did was full HDR photography. With certain homes, I do excellent 4K video, drone footage. So that was the foundation. And then what I was able to do with that high quality marketing material and content was I was able to start posting it on social media, specifically Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, and through different hashtags, different strategic ways to, I don't use boosting, but I use targeted marketing. I was able to start narrowing down with each individual house what the demographic was that was interested in it. And then when I had my open houses, I could target that. And I was sort of in full control of the people who were interested in these listings, and they were selling because I could target them over and over and over. And eventually they just realized it was the place for them. So just by going a little step above and leveraging tools that we have for free, it gets such great results because you can be in front of people all the time just by doing that.
Yeah, you reminded me of a kid I interviewed a while. Oh man, I can't think of his name right now. It'll come to me, but he's a younger guy too, and he used his youth and his knowledge of social media, similar to what you're doing, as kind of his niche. Like, I'm the expert at social media. It sounds kind of similar to what you're doing, right? And this might sound like a crazy question. I mean, we use professional photographers, but what's HDR photography? What is that?
Okay, so you have your typical photography, but HDR is called high dynamic range. And essentially what it does is it just brings out certain lighting, especially through windows and with the interior lighting, that truly it'll show what's outside, and it'll bring out the qualities of what's inside. And because a lot of the times when people take their own photography through a window, you just see either light or darkness. Well, with the HDR photography, you can bring out the trees through the windows, and you can show the yard, and you can just pull so much different lighting through the dynamic range. And that dynamic range just exploits the quality like no other. So by doing that, the content I had to push on social media, the quality was unbelievable and it was exceptional. So people were just so intrigued by it that they would want to see the house in person because it looked stunning. Whether it was a $300,000 house or $1 million house, it always looked fantastic.
Yeah, that's cool. So as far as, when it comes back to the social media, the photography, what else help? Here's something actually that's bringing me back to when I heard you on Josh's show. Is you have you're the purple realtor, right? Or you have the purple car, and that's kind of like your brand.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
For sure. That's the thing that comes up most, and that's honestly probably been one of my biggest tools for branding, without a doubt. So what happened is, getting in the industry again, I wanted to figure out how I can be authentic, true to myself, and still get attention on a budget. Because I saw that, yes, people were doing bus benches, but those are several $100s per month per bench. And I didn't have the budget for that when I got going. So looking at my cars and knowing that I already had a bit of an in with the car community, I said, how can I leverage this to build my brand? And so people know that this is truly me. And being a guy who had a BMW and knowing that my color was going to be purple, I decided to wrap it. Getting into why I chose purple, I wanted something that would stand out in a tasteful way. It's not like I wrapped it in bright lime green, but even I've had people from the ages of 20 all the way up to 60s and 70s say that they see my car and they think it's absolutely stunning. So finding something that sort of tailors to everyone in a classy way and represents luxury and royalty, I was able to blend that with my passion of cars. And now every single time I leave my house, I get messages from people or I get photos. Like, for example, yesterday I had a meeting downtown and I had 6 different people send me captions of my car, either driving or parked, from Instagram. And I've never met any of these people, but they said, hey, I just spotted you, or looking good, or it really stands out. Every time I leave my house, people notice it. And when they start looking it up, my information comes up, the good reviews, the quality, and it just sort of spawns from there. So it's been such a unique tool and something that has given way to a really unique brand here that's been noticed very quickly throughout the million people in my city.
Love it. And something that you and I have in common, as I have a GT. I have the 5. It's not purple though, but it's the 550. The 550 M Sport package. But yeah, and we have very similar cars. Mine's not purple. So, and I think on the episode I heard with GSD, you had shared how people recognize you as well. Like you'll pull up to and they'll be like, "Oh, that's the guy with the car, right?" And you've gotten business that way as well.
Yeah, for sure. And like the other day I was door knocking and I have purple laces on all of my dress shoes and all of my gym shoes. And when I was door knocking, it must have been a mid-50s lady who you wouldn't think would be active on social media. She looked down at my laces and said, "You know what? I have a random question, Mike. Do you happen to drive a purple car?" I said, "Yes, I do." And she was, "Oh my gosh, I've been following you on social media for ages. I've been hoping to meet you." And I'm like, "Well, I'm at your door. Let's chat." So people notice it, right? Even from my business cards, I have little cues all over, whether it's what I dress or what I do with my postings that tie purple into it. And you're right, a lot of people notice it, and a lot of people have recognized me for that. And just being able to be that purple realtor and not just a name, because there's 5,500 names in my industry here. You need to sort of set yourself apart and something that can stay top of mind without being easy to forget. And being a color plus a brand, that's been the key to the success of that.
That's great. As far as the Purple Realtor, I love the branding, and it everything that we've talked about so far, Mike, it brings us back to those 3 points I made earlier about the youth, right?
Yeah.
24 young, not really knowing the area. I mean, by knowing the marketing, doing your homework ahead of time, you do know the area, right? Because you know the statistics.
Yeah.
Because you have that information, nobody's going to question if if you've been in the business 10 years or if you're new to the industry, because you're showing up and you're bringing value and you're showing the area. You've done your homework. And then even if they feel you're young, they're not going to care because you're bringing so much value. That's what I'm getting from this.
I couldn't agree more. And the results speak for themselves, right? And I have so many people, even in the city, who were born and raised here, and they've been doing it for 10 years, and they've literally been surviving off their sphere that they've always had. And they're wondering how they get more business, and they're not willing to put the effort in. So, and they're not open to educating themselves and putting the time in to do the research, because they're just used to having that business handed to them from their sphere. So I urge new agents and upcoming agents to buckle down and really put yourself through some exhaustive research, because it'll set you apart miles. It doesn't matter how many people are in your city in the industry, how long they've been in the industry. A lot of them are so complacent that they're not willing to go dive those levels deep and get a grip for what's coming up, what's trending, what's new, what's old, how you can provide values in creative and unique ways to people. Because they hear, the average public hears the same thing from every realtor. You'll give them free home evaluations, you'll give them this, you'll give them that. It's all the same. So if you're able to provide some unique value and show your competitive advantage compared to the others in your industry, it doesn't matter how long, how old, what you're doing, girl, guy, doesn't matter. You're going to stand out, and they're going to be interested in what you have to say.
Yeah, man. It sounds too, I mean, listening to you, it sounds like you're very purposeful as well in what you're doing. And I feel that's why you're as successful as you are. And obviously you're just at the beginning. I see that. Listening to you talk about like this podcast is an example, or like Pat Hyben has a great real estate podcast, Joshua Smith, right? When we bring on agents, like for instance, I had an agent who was telling me he was having some challenges with getting his sellers to, this was an agent in our office, to getting his sellers to get off the couch and take some action. I said, dude, you got to listen to this podcast, because there's this real estate coach, his name's Dirk Zeller, and this is what he talks about. He actually has scripts. We're role-playing scripts of helping sellers get more motivated, right?
Yeah.
Taking action. Yeah, there's nothing on the market. We're going to make sure you're not homeless. So anyway, I share the podcast with the kid. I see him 3 days later. I'm like, hey, did you? He's like, oh yeah, I didn't even have time to listen to it. I'm like,
oh my gosh,
like and you just see so much of that, man. But in the end, hey, I don't want to say anything bad about anybody. I'm just that's the reason there's opportunity, though, right? Because not everybody's going to do this.
Definitely, and listen to this too. Another knock against getting started when I did is right now my city is in the sort of tail end of almost the worst recession we've had in decades. I got in when the economy was at the lowest of absolute low. It hasn't been this low in forever. So I had to also help people overcome the fact that every news outlet was saying Calgary's in the dumps. And when is it coming back? Is it ever going to come back? Oil's down. There's no hope. I was also working against all of the media outlets. So what happened is I started looking of ways to provide incisive value to people to help them overcome that. So I started studying the interest rates and seeing if they were increasing, and they were. And then over time, housing prices were slowly increasing. So I was able to flip the script a bit if they were on the fence of selling and wanting to wait till next year. And I said, listen, if you wait till next year, you might get $10,000 more for the home. But the next home you're looking into is in a nicer area, so it might go up $12,000. Plus, the interest rates have been going up by 0.5% over 2 months. So now you're going to be paying over the 5 fixed years of your interest rate an extra $5,000 on your mortgage. So what happens is so many people get fixated on the single transaction, the sale of one house, the one they're emotionally invested in, which is theirs. And what they fail to realize is look at the big picture. So if they maybe lose $10,000 on their home, well, they might be, since they're buying in a down market, they might be saving $15,000 on their bigger home, and they're getting locked in at a lower interest rate for the next 5 years, saving them thousands a year. So you've got to look outside the box when you're creating value. You can't just look at homes that are being sold or what the media is saying. Dig deeper, make yourself valuable, make yourself become a resource and an asset to your city.
Yeah, and we ultimately have to do this, Mike, by educating ourselves and committing the time and reading and watching videos and listening to podcasts and anything we need to do to get better and get more knowledge about the market and about the process and everything else. And it sounds to me like that's what you're really good at. Tell us about your $50 million listing, man. What's going on with that?
Yeah, what a mammoth, eh? So this house could make history for the biggest sale in my city. It's quite an astounding house. It's a 17,500 square foot custom French estate, absolutely stunning. And the sellers built it for $16 million back in 2008, and essentially they want to downgrade for a few years and then purchase their final home. What happened is they listed it 2 years ago with a Sotheby's agent because Sotheby's pitched to them their international exposure. And unfortunately, what happened is the agent didn't end up doing anything for it. They uploaded it on MLS and solely used it for bragging rights and just waited for the buyer to come. And that buyer never came. So what they did is they heard my story, heard I left engineering to chase a bigger dream, saw from other people what I was doing with media and how I was branding myself and speaking on stage. And they said, you know what, I want this guy because he shows that he's willing to work for anything and he's hustling day in and day out. We want someone that's going to do that for our property because, again, in Calgary, in a recession, who is going to be spending the most they've ever spent in history on a house, right? So you have to start being creative and you have to exhaust every possible outlet. So from there, we just started rolling it out last week, and now we're in talks with people who sold the Playboy Mansion and people from Hong Kong and LA, all over the world. We're reaching out to the right select individuals to help us get the job done on this beast because it's not easy and it's not your average one. So you got to take different measures.
Good for you. Now, did these people reach out to you, or was it an expired listing and you called them? How did that happen?
So what happened is I knew their son through friends, and through that, he sort of mentioned what I've been doing and met them once. And then from there, they invited me over and said, you know what, we heard what you're doing. Do you want this? And I said, let's go.
Awesome. Good stuff, man. Hey, Masters, we're going to get you right back to the show. And I just ask if you would go to our affiliates page, guys. Listen, we have everything that you could think of at davidihill.com/affiliates. If you need real estate leads, we have Land Voice, we have Vulcan 7. If you need training, guys, we got Pat Hyben. And listen to this. This training that Pat is offering through Rebus University, you go to my site, you can actually get a discount. It's phenomenal. I'm not just saying that because I actually am going through the listing training myself before I'm going to start offering it to my team members. It's just fantastic. Training links for Jarek Robbins coaching, Nolly Williams, if you're looking for a special listing packet. Guys, we have everything on there, building a platform right now so that you guys can be super, super successful in the real estate business. Also, ZipRecruiter. If you need talent, guys, ZipRecruiter. So everything is right there on my site, davidihill.com/affiliates. And also get yourself a copy of the sales playbook. If you haven't picked up the sales playbook yet, please get out there, get yourself a copy. You're going to love it. And finally, health and nutrition. You know it's number one for me. So again, a link from my affiliates page, davidihill.com/affiliates. And finally, please, referrals, Massachusetts, keep us in mind. We would love to handle your referral business. Just reach out to me. Certainly find me on Facebook. Or if you want, if it's easier, shoot me an email, david@davidihill.com. Thanks. You rock. Enjoy the rest of the show. All right, well, let's switch gears a little bit. What would you say, when people hear about everything we're talking about today, being young and being new to the business and new to the industry, and what are going to be all the misconceptions? Like, what are people going to say, oh, that's not going to work for me? Or what do you typically hear from people?
I hear a lot of times people reach out to me for advice on social media. And what a lot of people say is it's too much effort. I get that all the time. They either believe that they need professional photography for every photo, or it's too much effort to post every day. And I think that's a huge misconception. I do one post a day at 7 a.m, and that is it. And I generate between now 40 and 50% of my business from those daily posts. And what happens is, even if I don't have a nice, exciting post for the next day, I just take a post of me out door knocking with my flyers, hitting the streets, the car in the background, and people love that because it's showing that it's real, it's authentic, it's personable, and that you're out there putting in the work. So you don't have to have everything professional. People don't even want staged photos. They want to get to know you as a person, because at the end of the day, there's so many people in our industry. Why would they work for you? What I find with platforms like Instagram is that it gives people the opportunity to learn your personality before they even meet you in person. And there's so much value with that, because I meet people all the time and say they've been following my stories, all my posts, and they say they feel like they know me before they even meet me, because it gives you a chance to be real. And the value that comes with that is undescribable, because at the end of the day, yes, we're in a transactional business, but when it comes down to it, we're in a people business. We're people serving people, and people want to work with people that they like and they know they're going to get along with. So show that to people, show people why you're fun to work with, why you have a creative take on the industry, what you're doing differently that will get people excited. Be real, be yourself, and be different. So I don't buy into the fact that people think social media is too much effort, and I think that's BS. So that's one bug we got to squash for sure.
And what's your biggest challenge right now, man? What's the biggest thing that's kind of you feel is going to take you to the next level?
Definitely. So the biggest one I found was that I was almost getting too overwhelmed with business, because I had so much coming from the start from the exhaustive efforts. I found that I was almost getting bogged down by transactional work and admin work. And it was taking away from my productive work that was getting me business, like my prospecting. So I recently made the switch to a new brokerage where the CEO has taken me under his wing. They're a brokerage set up like a team, so they have admins doing that work for us. So now I have a brand new schedule, and I'm hitting the ground running on a completely different level. So it's only growing from here. So something that people need to do as well is don't be afraid to ask for help and reach out. A lot of people get in the industry and they think now that they're self-employed that they can they can take on the world themselves. No, ask for help. Ask from people who've done it, been there, achieved what you want to achieve, because I was realizing that by trying to be too productive, I was being counterproductive. And now with a new revised schedule based on the input from many of the top agents in the city, I'm able to be more effective and more efficient with my time and even drive better business.
Yeah. Well, you just nailed the biggest challenge that, 9 out of 10 real estate agents face is, when they get busy, they get to a place where they stop doing the most, income producing activities to focus on trying to keep their deals together. And then all of a sudden what it does is it creates gaps in your income. And I just see so much of that. So good for you for, understanding that and then partnering up with somebody. So ultimately what we're doing, Mike, is we're building expansion teams throughout Massachusetts. So we're looking for people just like you that are nailing it and are starting to feel that pain where they're getting to a place where, what they realize, wow, I need leverage to get to that next level. So I just appreciate you sharing that. What would you say, like if someone said, man, Mike, what makes you successful? Like if you really had to nail it down, like what would be the one thing that would make Mike Sherrod successful?
Mine is 100% the vision. I'm so driven and so dedicated to achieve a certain goal and dream in my life that I am willing to do whatever it takes to get there. And there's times where you feel a little deflated and demotivated, and I just end up flipping on a certain song or watching Eric Thomas videos or whatever it might be. I'm so hungry to achieve excellence because I believe people like you and I and many others who are likely listening to this, we're a different breed, and I feel like it would be a waste for us not to achieve excellence in our lives because we're gifted with this mindset and this drive to go above and beyond the norm, that I want to prove to myself that I can achieve something. And, there's also been doubters along the way and people that don't support it. And it's always one of those things where you do have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder where you want to show people that all these sacrifices that you made and all the rejections that you got turned out to be worth it and ultimately let you achieve and live that life that you want and that many others unfortunately won't get the experience to because they aren't necessarily willing to go above and beyond and do what others are a little scared to do.
Yeah, I actually had Grant Cardone was on my podcast about a month ago. I would go back, everybody listening, go back and listen to that episode, Grant Cardone on the 10X rule. And he just nails it. He said, we all think too small. No matter how big we think, he said, we think too small. And the thing that I really loved is what he says about 10Xing is that everything is going to be 10 times harder than we expect. So for you, when you're in something, and you kind of alluded to this a little bit, you said you listen to some motivational songs, Eric Thomas. When things aren't going right and you're like, holy cow, what is this? How do you keep moving forward?
Definitely. Well, a lot of the time I take a step back and I just say, who can help me through this? And it might be the CEO of the brokerage that I'm working under right now, or it might be my business partner who I'm working in sort of parallel with across different industries. I find someone who has been there from the start and who is also exceptionally driven. And, all it takes is a conversation about our dreams and what we are working this hard for, and it always bounces back. And, I credit a lot of success to that 10X rule mentality because when I got into the industry, I said, you know what, the average agent in their first year in Calgary does maybe 2 to 3 deals, and usually the average agent does about 6 to 8 deals regardless of how long they've been in the industry. And I said, you know what, well, I'm not the average agent and I'm never going to be. Why would I compare myself to those statistics? So I said, you know what, let's go for 30 the very first year. And with a few things coming up, man, we have the opportunity to hit that. So at the end of the day, don't compare yourself to others or what industry stats say or what everyone else is doing. Do you and dream big, because when you have that perspective, even if you fall short and maybe achieve 75%, you're still miles above the rest.
Yeah, what a great point. Yeah, and hey, listen, everybody, go back after listening to this episode, I would take some great notes on what Mike said today. Go back and listen to episode number 69 with Grant Cardone, and he's really going to going to bring this all together for you with the 10X rule. So, Mike, well, first off, how do our listeners get in touch with you, man? I know I'm going to add you to my list for referrals. How do our listeners get in touch with you?
Definitely. No, honestly, it's so greatly appreciated if people follow the Instagram account at The Purple Realtor. And again, if possible, just subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have a lot of really cool stuff coming up on YouTube. It's been slow lately just because of the transitions, but if people are able to subscribe to that and start following it and helping build the community, please do, and ask questions. You know, I like when people ask questions about what flyers I use, what scripts I use. You know, you guys ask me a question, I'll make a video on it every single time because I want to be there to provide value to our community as a whole. So reach out. I answer every single message, and I just want to be there for us young hustlers who are trying to achieve a dream and get there together.
Good stuff. And here's a question I ask most people. I don't even know if it applies to you because you've only been in the business for, 4 months, 5 months. Based on what you know today, what would you have done different 5 months ago?
5 months ago, one of the main things that I mentioned in the GST interview is I would have had maybe a mentor above me, because what I found is because I was doing so much on my own, and I was getting great results and everyone was saying I was killing it. And I almost got wrapped up in the fact that people were saying I was doing good, so good. So I felt like I was doing good, but in my mind, I knew I was still so far behind what I needed to do. And now that I have a mentor and someone that's guiding me with my daily structure and giving me goals and breaking it down for how I have to achieve them and what I need to do to get there, it makes a world of a difference. So find someone who's going to map out your goals for you and break it down into little segmented pieces so that you can bite off a little bit at a time instead of trying to chew the whole thing in one piece, you know? So find someone like yourself, someone that's been in the industry, achieved great things, let them show you the way, put your spin on it, but get a little bit of guidance and don't be afraid to do that.
Great advice, man. Great advice. What would be your book recommendation for our listeners, man? If beyond, you're not a Keller Williams agent, I don't believe, but what would be for our listeners the book recommendation? It could be for someone just getting into real estate, or maybe someone that's been in the business for a while.
I just started a new book, and this is recommended. Actually, I wasn't there, but it was recommended from the big Tom Ferry convention that happened this year down in Vegas. And this is a book on perspective, and I truly urge people to read this. And pardon my language, but it's called Unf Yourself. Get out of your head and into your life. What this book does is it explains to you sort of how to get across and out of those mental barriers and start playing in your life and not your mind. Don't overthink things, and it shows you specific things that you can do to start driving physical, tangible results instead of being trapped in all the thoughts and nonsense and talk that's going on in your head. And, you know, I read this book in a week, and it's done wonders for my perspective on negative situations and my drive in general.
That is awesome, dude. Thank you for sharing that. I'm actually going to go purchase the book right now. By the way, for anybody listening to this, this book is on Audible. So you could go to davidsfreebook.com right now. Just go to davidsfreebook.com and get yourself a free download on Audible of this book, Unf Yourself. All right. Hey, man, listen, that was awesome, dude. I appreciate you spending some time with us, and I'm glad I reached out. Like I said, I heard you on Josh, and I said, this guy's good, man. I train a lot of new agents, man. A lot of the top agents in my city, in my area, were people that started on my team. So I just love being able to share stuff like this. So that said, I mean, what is the one thing, Mike, that you want our listeners to take from this interview today?
You know, the one thing I want people to take from this is that, and this is kind of cliche, but I want to put a spin on it, is that you can do it, because a lot of people find, like everything we talked about, that there's so much working against them, that they are young. There's 50,000 freaking agents in their city doing this. It's too big of a fish to fry, you know. Break it down into small pieces, pick away at it, and over time, if you're willing to persistently and aggressively chase after certain goals to put yourself at the top. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, but you will achieve it, because at the end of the day, if you're willing to outwork everyone else, it's going to shine and you will essentially always achieve those results. So go in with the mindset that you can do it and you will do it. Not that it might happen. It will happen. Make it happen, because no one's going to do it for you. You have full control. So if you succeed, that's your effort. If you fail, that's your fault as well. So make it happen.
Brilliant, my friend. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much for reaching out, and anything we can do to build this together and help others.
Hey, Masters, you guys know how important health and nutrition is to me. I just want to talk to you a little bit about products I use called AdvoCare. I've been using these products for about a year and a half now, mostly just for energy. They've got a really awesome drink. It's called Spark. If you want to check out anything, I would tell you, go check out the energy drink Spark. That's what I did for, like I said, almost a year and a half without even trying any of their other products. And then this past January, a bunch of us, January 4th, decided we were going to do the 24-day challenge, which is a 10-day cleanse and then 14 days of just really healthy eating, vitamins, meal replacement, just awesome 24 days just to kind of get yourself on track and get into some right habits. So Richie Ryan did it with us. Guys, he lost, today's February 5th. I think he's at 24 pounds lost since January 4th. Melissa at our office lost 6 pounds. Min at our office lost 5 pounds. Guys, I mean, listen, it's amazing. Regardless, if your goal is losing weight, my goal wasn't losing weight. I did the challenge just so I could experience it. And, I lost a few pounds, but now I put some weight back on because I started using some of the supplements and the protein powder and all the other stuff. So now I've gained about 3 pounds of muscle and just feel awesome. My energy's through the roof. So whether you're looking for energy or you're looking for just wellness, I mean, they've got some amazing green products that I love taking before I go to bed. Or if you're looking for performance, athletic products, we've got the athletic performance products. And then just active, if you're an active adult, maybe getting a little older in the age and you want to just keep everything working the right way and functioning. Listen, Gary Keller said it best. If you don't take care of your body, where are you going to live? And I just love that. So, hey, I just ask you to check out AdvoCare's products. I'm a distributor, so I'd love to help you, talk to you about your nutrition and health goals. You go to livelongersmarter.com, livelongersmarter.com. If you love what you heard in this episode and you're looking for more techniques, tools, strategies, and ideas, simply go to thesalesplaybook.net and get yourself a copy of the Sales Playbook. You can also go directly to Amazon, type in the Sales Playbook, and buy your copy today.
You are listening to One More Sale with your host, David I. Hill, author of the Sales Playbook. Get your copy at www.thesalesplaybook.net.